What an honor it is to be here with you today, church. It is an honor to be here. It is a day that the Lord has made indeed, and this is the day that He's called us to be glad. Amen. And it's such a great privilege for me. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to bring the Word of God today and to encourage the church. And can I just say that after doing the preparation for the sermon today, it made me realize what great heart and what great work our pastors are putting into every week just for us to hear God's message. So let's give them a hand. Pastor John and Pastor Todd, the leadership team, we are grateful for you. And we also want to welcome Pastor John back. I know he's not here physically with us, but he's watching online. He's not feeling well. Hello, Pastor John. We are praying for you. It is because of the high altitude, you know, the time change and everything, jet lag. So that's why he's taking a rest at this time. But we're praying for you, and we are glad that you're back. In the last 3 Sundays, this house was graced with wisdom through our guest speakers. Weren't you blessed by Abby Lorenzana, by JP David, and Jas Narciso? Who among you here are blessed? That's right. I was blessed by God's word through them. And like an older sister, can I just say, I am so proud of them. So proud of them. My good friend JP David, he's in Australia now, back to Hillsong. He kicked off the series, and he talked about my priorities. I wasn't here when he preached, but I watched him online, and I remember the phrase that he said, only one thing is needed. Do you remember that? When he said that, only one thing is needed. And he challenged us to choose the better way, and it is to prioritize Jesus Christ. Week 2 was led by our very own Abby Lorenzana, and she challenged us she talked about how concerned God is about our thought life. And she challenged us to redirect our thoughts to Jesus. And last week, we had our friend Jas Narciso from Metaskiwin. He talked about our alignment, and he shared that our alignment to God is a decision. Our alignment to God is a process, and our alignment to God is to be a part of the bigger story. And he taught for us to be focused on the to, not the through. So it's great to come alongside these amazing young people in encouraging the church. Never had I imagined that I'm going to be here standing at front of the church today to give the word of God. But what an honor and what an opportunity, right? I remember, so I'll share with you how this came out to be. I remember late October or early November when the worship team coordinators met with Pastor John to plan ahead the songs that we're going to be putting on the set list for the upcoming worship experiences. And we came to this date of January 27th. And so Pastor John asked me if it would be okay for me to preach that day. And so I nodded with I was sitting, we were at Starbucks with Jason and Love. So I had my arms crossed like this. And so he asked, will you be willing to preach? And I nodded my head. And so he asked me, is that a yes? I said, let's do it, PJ, let's go, let's do this. And then, while doing my sermon prep, I said to myself, what have I gotten myself into? Oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But seriously, again, like what I said, it's a great blessing. It is a great blessing. And I consider this one of my breakthroughs in my spiritual walk, in my Christian life. So I am greatly, and I truly am very thankful for this one. And I didn't interview JP, Abby, and Jas, but I want to speak on behalf of them. I know that for the 4 of us, we all came from the same starting point as far as preaching the word goes. And I realized three things. Number one, you're never not nervous when you're up here. Never not nervous. But I personally chose to flip my thought. Say, flip my thought. Just like what Abby challenged us when she shared about thought life, I chose to flip my thought from being nervous to being excited, right? Because if you start to say not just positive words, but words that will uplift you, your focus will turn from being nervous to being excited, right? So I'm very thankful for that. Number two, I know that the four of us chose to take this opportunity and look at it as an appointed assignment to encourage this house as we enter the new year. And number three, I know that the four of us are all grateful to the leadership team headed by Pastor John, because they believe in this generation. They believe not in our limitations, but how our limitless God can work through our ordinary lives. I consider myself just like you, a member of this church, an ordinary servant of God. But what great opportunity it is to share and encourage the church. So thank you for that. So we are into week 4 of 2019. This is week 4, right? Did you check our calendars already? This is week 4 of 2019, January, first month of the year. And we have been learning that the beginning of the year is always a good place to start habits that will allow us to ascend. That's what we've been talking the last 3 Sundays. And earlier I mentioned all my personal takeaways from the 3 sermons, from the 3 weekends. And Ascend series is all about rising to your next level, raising the bar, to move upward, to rise. That's what it means. And I believe this series is teaching us how the word choice plays a very crucial role. How the word choice brings great impact. So that's just a 6-letter word, but it brings great impact. And as Abby said, today is the 4th and final leg of our sermon series, Ascend. And we are going to talk about my relationships. Ooh, maybe Jane's going to give me tips on dating. Hit me up. Let's go out for coffee, young people. Right? No. We can do that. We're not going to talk about that this time, but we can talk about that some other time. I'm open for coffee dates, that. So today we are going to talk about my relationships, how to bring our relationships and connections to the next level in the light of God's Word. And I know you heard this already the last 3 Sundays. All of us have uphill, fill in the blanks. All of us have uphill hopes, but we don't have uphill habits. I'll say that again. All of us have uphill hopes, but we don't have uphill habits. Don't we all want a better version of ourselves? Don't we all want success? Don't we all want progress? Perhaps you've had New Year's resolutions in the past, or maybe you have New Year's resolutions this year. You probably have a word that God gave you to carry throughout this year. By the way, I want to share that the word that God gave me this year is breakthrough. Breakthrough. I was contemplating New Year's Eve on how good God has been in my life for the last years in my life, but specifically 2018. And that big word struck my heart like lightning. And at the same time, it gave me a sense of expectancy. I am believing that 2019 is a year of breakthrough for me in lots of areas in my life. And I am thrilled for 2019 because I believe that God will bring me and give me my breakthroughs. And like what I said, perhaps you've had New Year's resolutions and you probably have a year that God gave you. And that's all good. We're all good with starting that. We all get excited and pumped up. But don't you notice that we tend to lose the momentum? All all of a sudden there's no more drive. It seems like the fire has died down. Your word for the year, all of a sudden, and your New Year's resolutions are all buried. What? 4 weeks into the new year, and your word for the year and your New Year's resolution, they're all buried. Ouch. We want great results, but we don't always achieve it. Then we ask ourselves, why? Why is that happening? There may be some other reasons, but I think this happens because we don't choose patterns that brings great impact. We don't choose habits that sustain what we want to achieve. We're good with starting what we want to do, but we're not good in developing patterns that will strengthen and sustain it. Hence, we lose the desire to carry on and move forward. It's so important that we make choices that will bring lasting value. We form our habits, and our habits form us, right? And one of the areas God wants us to ascend this year is the area of relationships. We can think of different types of relationships, like family relationships, and within your family you have a relationship with your spouse. If you're a parent, you have a relationship with your children. And we also have friendships, we have acquaintances, we have professional relationships and romantic relationships. Our relationships have the potential to speak life to our dreams and goals. They also have the power to pull us away from God's purposes. So we're going to talk about these habits of ascending connections, and this is about strengthening relationships that pull us closer to God and our goals. So there's 5 main points that we want to talk about today. And if you want to follow through, it's on the screen. Say this with me. If I want to ascend in my relationships, there should be an S there. This year, I need to choose my relationships carefully. Say that with me. Choose my relationships carefully. Proverbs 27:19. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. To become the people of God wants us to be, it is crucial that we choose the right relationships. They are extremely important because without them, we will be unable to accomplish much in life. Don't you agree? Without people in life, without relationships, it's kind of meaningless. Like you're not going to do things for yourself, right? Another translation of this verse in easy to read version, it says, just as you can see your own face reflected in water, so your heart reflects the kind of person you are. Why does the Bible in one version say that the heart reflects the kind of person you are in ERV version, and the other one says what you are really like is shown by the kind of friends you choose? Any guesses? Any guesses? Any guesses? It is because the heart and the intellect are closely connected. The heart is connected with thinking. Proverbs 23:7, it says there, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So closely related to the mind are acts of the will. Acts resulting from a conscious or even a deliberate decision. So choice comes in there, right? So choosing our friends, choosing our relationships, choosing what you want to do, choice comes in there. So here's the question. Are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Who we surround ourselves with can have a great impact on who we can become. We should pursue relationships with people who build our confidence in God as well as in ourselves. People who encourage us when we are troubled or despondent. People who stimulate us to reach our potential. People who energize us when we are weary. who comforts us when we are hurting, who defends us when we are attacked, who forgives us when we make mistakes, who love us unconditionally, people who confront us when we go astray, and people who serve us when we are overextended. And the closest real-life testimony that I can share in this part, in this point, is my relationship with my husband. Mark is a great gift from the Lord. We've been married for 8 years, going into 9 this year. Woohoo! Praise God. And you know what? There never has been a day that He doesn't make me feel loved. He always reminds me that I am loved. He always reminds me that I am beautiful, even though I don't feel, or even though I don't think that I look like one myself. And to the point that, are you serious? Like, I look like whatever, fill in the blanks, but He says that I'm beautiful. And that's the way He encourages me. And I am grateful to have Him in my life. And I could go on and on about how He is in our relationship. And it's good to ask ourselves if we have anyone in our life who feels the needs mentioned on the list that I have mentioned, that I've said earlier. It is as important to discover which relationships may be deflecting us from the path of godliness. So it's really a must for us to choose our relationships carefully. Number 2, if I want to ascend in my relationships this year, I need to nurture my important relationships. Say that with me. Nurture my important relationships. 1 Peter 4:7-8. It says, "The time is near when all things will end. So keep your minds clear and control yourselves. This will help you in your prayers. Most important of all, love each other deeply, because love makes you willing to forgive many sins." So Peter encourages us to continually grow in love for God and for others, and to invest our time to nurture relationships where it makes an eternal difference. To nurture means to support, to uphold, to assist, to help to the growth or development. So I have a question for you. What do you consider an important relationship to you? What do you consider an important relationship to you? Earlier I've mentioned different types of relationship, and I want to touch on friendship. I want to touch on friendship this time. Friendship is a close, trusting relationship between two people. Who among you here have friends? Ooh, nice. That's great. That's great to have a friend in life, right? They are a blessing. We see different faces of friends who have played different roles in our lives. There's a friend who comforts. There's a friend who listens. There's a friend who encourages. There's a friend who criticizes you constructively, right? There's the truth teller, and so forth, and so forth. And I want to tell you a true story. I found out that I have a role of being a listener. I did not know it at the time, but when I was in elementary, I just noticed that friends come to me to share me secrets. That's where it started. They share their crushes. They share how many times their crush glanced at them. And so I said, okay, your secret's safe with me. We got that. And then fast forward to high school life, high school days, I went to a different school, and same thing happens. My friends come to me and share me not only their crushes, not only things that matters in their heart, but they share their dark past, they share problems in their family, what's happening in their life, what's happening at their house, their mom and dad had fought. They share those things with me. And I said, how come these people are coming to me? I don't know what to say, but there's one thing that I do. I listen to them. Sometimes there's that's just what they need. You know, people who listens to them, who give them their time, let them know that they're not alone, right? And one more true story. My high school friends are close with my dad and my mom, like they hang out at the house. So there's this one evening that my dad woke me up. He said, "Jane, your friend's outside." Okay. So I woke up. It's close to midnight and he was there. So I opened the gate and let him in. And this friend of mine was crying like a baby. Crying like a baby. So I said, like, "Man, what's happening? What happened?" And then he said that my friend, it so happened that he found out that his girlfriend cheated on him. I didn't know what to do at that time because I didn't have that great of a heartbreak yet at the time. So same thing I did. I just listened to him. I just let him vent out whatever is laying on his chest. And he said right after, he felt better. And then I said, "Man, it sucks. I know." Or maybe I don't know at the time, but I said, "It sucks. It hurts me to see you in pain." Right? But that moment was pivotal for me because I realized how being a listener lets the other person know that they're not alone. Sometimes our presence can make a big difference, right? So nurture your relationship by lending them your ears. Let them know that you are there for them, to listen to them. I give them advice if they ask, and I pray for them and I pray with them. And even now that I am placed in a different country, it still happens. And I guess embracing that role of being a listener is not bad at all. And I praise God for opportunities like that. You know, to me, sometimes that's the least thing I can do. But we don't know what impact it is on the other person. So if you're called to be like that, embrace the role that you have and discover more to nurture your relationships, right? Now, here's the thing. So it's a blessing for us to be reminded of what they have done for you and me, you know, our friends, what they did, what they are doing for us. But what are we doing for them? What am I doing for my friend? If you consider your relationship within your family, if you're a parent, what am I doing for my children? Children, what are you doing to nurture your relationships with your parents? You know, sometimes that's a question that we overlook. You know, what are we doing for my mom, for my dad, for my siblings? Outside the house, what am I doing for my friend? At church, what am I doing for my mentor? What am I doing for our pastor? They're pouring into our lives, but how are we pouring into them? How is God moving me to be part of their worlds? There's a famous quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that goes like this: "The only way to have a friend is to be one." And isn't that true? Because friendships don't just happen. They don't just happen. They take time, they take effort, and they take upkeep. They take follow through. And this goes the same with our other relationships. So this means we need to do something if we want to grow and nurture our relationships with others. We can't be stagnant. We don't have to stand and wait. We have to be active, right? We have to be present in nourishing connections. That's important to us. So that's number 2. Nurture our important relationships. Number 3, if I want to ascend in my relationships this year, I need to restore my broken relationships. Restore my broken relationships. Colossians 3:13 says, "Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others." Church, I know this is a hard command to follow, right? But let's read that. Let's read that verse again. Make allowance for each other's faults and forgive anyone who offends you. Remember, the Lord forgave you, so you must forgive others. You must forgive others as the Lord forgave you. Forgive anyone who offends you. Pretty strong words, aren't they? Pretty strong. But Jane, how can I forgive? You don't know the pain that I'm going through. You don't know the pain that I went through. That person abused me. This person hurt me. This person didn't say what she needed to say. That person hurt my family. He lied to me. My father left me when I was young. My mother left us for another man. Different situations and different experiences of being broken. Name it. And I get it. At one point in my life, I've been there. We've all been there. When someone wrongs us, the last thing on our minds is to forgive. Right? That's the sad truth. But what the verse is trying to imply is that forgiveness doesn't negate the wrong done to us. It doesn't deny the offense or the pain, but it lets go of the right to get even. Because unforgiveness torments us, not the offender. It stunts our growth and it hinders our connection with God. If we choose not to forgive, if we're choosing to put a comma, you don't want to follow God in obedience to forgive, it stunts your growth in your relationship with the Lord. Forgiveness frees us. And we know there that choice is a big word again that comes into place, right? We have to choose to forgive. We don't deserve to be forgiven, but the Lord lovingly forgives us. The key to forgiving others is remembering how much God has forgiven you. Come to think of it, is it difficult for you to forgive someone who has wronged you a little when God has forgiven you so much? Realizing God's love that has no conditions and His forgiveness can help us love and forgive others. So let it go. Let God worry about the wrongs you've suffered. Give it all to God. Let go and let God take over. Let's not miss out on the blessings that He wants us to have. That's a great challenge for us all. Restore our broken relationships so we can ascend in that area this year. Number 4, sever any harmful relationships. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. Proverbs 13:20. How many of you heard the saying, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are? Anyone? Anyone in this room have heard that? Yeah? I also came across with this saying from a motivational speaker. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So think about that. Who's the 5 people that you spend most time with? This motivational speaker says that you are the average of those 5 people that you spend most of your time with. So that's an interesting thought, right? Take a look at your sphere of influence. Take a look at your friends. Who do you spend the most time with, and how do they make you feel? You see, our friends affect us, and they sometimes affect us profoundly. This verse is encouraging us that we need to spend time with people we want to be like, because our friends will surely grow to resemble each other. We will surely grow to resemble each other. So what about this saying, great minds think alike? Have you heard that saying before? Yeah. Your support system is crucial. It's saying here that progress is much easier when you are surrounded by the right people. Don't you agree? I like that. Progress is much easier when you are surrounded by the right people. There's a pretty decent amount of research that shows having friends is important to our well-being, but you also need the right type of friendships. So notice that it says right, not perfect or holy. Because your environment molds who you are, and can also shape who you become. So choose people who thrive and walk in the ways of the Lord. Choose people who are wise in their ways. Choose people who support you, inspire you, believes in you, who cheers you on, who grieves with you when tough time comes. Choose people who stretches you spiritually and intellectually. Someone you can meet your minds with and see an idea in a new clarity, refine them and shape them into brilliant insights. Now, on the other hand, we are challenged to sever or break up. Say break up. Break up. We are challenged to sever or break up with relationships that is harmful. Because any relationship that is harmful, it draws us away from our pursuit to walk in the ways of the Lord. Right? So, does that mean you stop loving on them as the Lord commands us? No, it doesn't. But the encouragement for us today is that we have the power to choose whose voices are we going to allow to speak into our lives, whose influence are we going to follow. It teaches us to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Detach yourself from the non-essential so that you can concentrate on the eternal. Right? Detach yourself from the non-essentials so that you can concentrate on the eternal. Number 5, if I want to ascend in my relationships this year, I need to initiate some meaningful relationships. Hebrews 10:25 says, "And let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of His return is drawing near." But you know what, Jane? I think I'm good. You know, I'm an introvert. I'm good by myself. I delight in a lot of me time. I am more productive when I'm alone. And then moments later, actually, Jane, I don't have really an intimate friend that I consider in my life. Is this you? Someone in this room feels like this or is like this. If you feel like you don't have a friend, then be a friend. Begin to have that meaningful relationship by being a friend and not wait for someone to come to you. Don't be scared to reach out your hand and say hello, because sometimes that's just what they need. That first hello, that first step, that first handshake, that first hug. Sometimes that's just what they need. So don't be scared. You're not gonna die. Not gonna die when you reach out your hand and say hello, right? But be intentional as you do that. Be intentional as you do that. Genuine friends are rare treasures. The Lord created us for meaningful relationships. In fact, it is difficult to flourish in this life if we live in isolation. We can't live alone. No man is an island. There's also that saying that I knew from way back. By God's design, we are made to share life with others as well as to give and receive love. Friendships come in various degrees, from surface relationships to intimate fellowship. And if God has blessed you with an intimate friendship, be engaged to devote time and effort to develop and cultivate it. And I believe in this house that's the kind of relationship we want to establish. That's why we don't take for granted that first meeting with the person who comes here for the first time. We value them, right? We give honor to this first time people, because that is a great way to connect and begin that meaningful relationship with them. We gather together in this house to worship God. We gather together in our D groups to share our faith and to encourage and to strengthen one another in the Lord. So don't be scared. Don't be scared to initiate that meaningful relationships. So now we transition on how to master our connections. How are we going to ace our relationships this year? So there's 5 quick points here again. Number 1, develop my relationship with my church. Ephesians 2:19. It says there, you are members of God's very own family and you belong in God's household with every other Christian. God's household is not a building, but it's a group of people that believes and follows Him, right? Let's take that context of church, that it's a building, but it's a group of people who believes and follows God. He believes in us, He lives in us and shows Himself to the world through us. People can see that God is love and that Christ is Lord as we live in harmony with each other and in line with what God says in His Word. We do not only become citizens of heaven, but also members of God's own family. So let this be an encouragement to someone who hasn't found a home church yet. Let this be an encouragement to someone to find a home church. Connect with a church family. And if you've already found one, develop that relationship with your church. Number 2, develop my relationship with godly friends. Acts 2:44. All the believers met together constantly and shared everything with each other. Isn't it nice to know that you have a people that you can come to when tough time comes? Isn't it nice to have people in your life that celebrates with you when victory comes? It's nice to have group of people in your life like that. The believers in Jerusalem shared all they had so that all could benefit from God's gifts. As part of God's spiritual family, it is our responsibility to help one another in every way possible. So share your time, share your talents, share your treasures with these people. Don't be scared, don't be afraid to develop your relationship with them. So let's be intentional in developing that relationships with our godly friends. Number 3, develop my relationship with a team. Ecclesiastes 4:8-9. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their labor. I've been a member of the worship team since the inception of Mosaic Church. And I am really blessed to see men and women of God serving the Lord even at a young age. Because I'm not young, but they are. But I am blessed. I'm blessed to see men and women of God serving the Lord in this field. We share the same passion and we help each other to be better servants of God, and we learn together on how to usher the church into the presence of God. So plug yourself in a team that grows not only in their crafts and in their skills, but ultimately with their relationship with the Lord. Why? Because cooperating with others has advantages. Life is designed for companionship, not isolation. For intimacy, not loneliness. So let us be believers who serve God and serve others. Don't isolate yourself and try to do it alone. Seek companions and be a team member, right? Number 4, develop my relationship with God. If you look for me wholeheartedly, you will find me. Jeremiah 29:13. Church, knowing God takes faith. Knowing God takes focus, and knowing God takes follow through. Don't give up in your efforts to seek God, and don't give up on your efforts to grow your relationship with Him. Develop your relationship with God by taking that step of faith. Later, after a worship experience, there's going to be baptism bash. And maybe there's a nudge in your heart to follow God in obedience through baptism. Develop your relationship with God by following Him. It's publicly declaring your faith in Jesus. I'm thankful because I can call upon God in confidence. I am grateful for the privilege of prayer. I'm thankful for His presence, and I get to experience His grace that changes and keeps me. If we seek Him wholeheartedly, He will be found. And may we be challenged to flourish our relationship with God by knowing Him more through His Word, through the influence of godly people that He's placed in our lives, through different life situations, and through the leading of His Spirit. Develop your relationship with God. And I'm going to my last point here. To master our connections, we have to develop my relationship with people God wants me to reach. So we have been sent to speak for Christ. It is like God is calling to people through us. We speak for Christ when we beg you to be at peace with God. And that's what 2 Corinthians 5:20 says. We are called to represent Jesus Christ, church. We are to carry that message of reconciliation to wherever He's placed you. We can't take this responsibility lightly because we never know what impact it will give. Let's be Christians who cultivate that relationship with people God wants for us to reach. God is calling us to be at peace with Him. God is going to use you mightily, your life, to draw people unto His Son. And may our prayers be that God would give us His heart so that our desires would be the same as His. So if you're going to school tomorrow, if you're going to work tomorrow, and you feel a nudge in your spirit to invite that person to church, maybe you've read a verse when you were having your devotional time, and there's a nudge in your spirit to share that encouragement to this person who needs help or who needs encouragement. Do it. Do it. God is relational, and we are created in His image for relationship. And I want to say that He is intentional in His relationship with you. Wherever you are at in your relationship with Him, He is intentional in His relationship with you. And can I tell you this? He is mad about you. He's madly in love with you and longs to restore His connection with you. You know, since that day that sin broke mankind's intimate connection with God, God has been the initiator of a project that brings people back into relationship with Him through Jesus Christ, His Son. Because of God's great love, He sent His only Son as a baby. Jesus lived on earth as a sinless man. He took our place on the cross and died for your sins and mine. Jesus was buried and rose from the grave and went to be with His Father in heaven. God longs for you. And aren't you thankful for God's initiative to seek us out, to seek and repair our relationships? Aren't you thankful because He includes us in bringing the people around us into relationship with Him too? And perhaps this is the first time that you've heard this message. Or maybe this is not your first time. But you did not have the opportunity to receive receive this perfect gift, this relationship that God offers through Jesus. Or there may be a time that you probably have received Jesus in your life, but your love grew cold. I want to tell you something. This is the time for you to take that bold step. This is the time for you to receive that perfect gift He offers. This is the time for you to rededicate your life to Christ. Say this with me. This is the time. This is the time. And you don't need to wait to be perfect, because here on earth, we can only progress. We can only progress. We can't be perfect. We won't be perfect until God calls us home. The perfect thing in this world, the only perfect thing in this world, is God's gift of salvation through Jesus Christ. This perfection is absolute and unchangeable. And it's this perfect relationship that guarantees that we will one day be completely perfect.
Thank you for joining us at Mosaic Church. If you have been blessed by today's message, or if you have made the decision to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior, please let us know about it. Email us at mosaiclloyd@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. If you wish to know more about our church, you may visit us online at www.mosaiclloyd.com. God bless you. See you again next week.